know what Pepsi is? I don't have to tell you. Branding has never been one of Pepsi's strengths, even in the beginning when its creator Caleb Bradham originally named the product Brad's Drink. Pepsi Perfect from Back to the Future 2 doesn't exist, even though it's already 2015.
All I want is a Pepsi.
Pepsi once had a contest in Russia where the prize was a free car. When one man won the contest, Pepsi sued him, claiming that the contest was rigged so no one could win. When Pepsi's slogan, "Come alive, you're in the Pepsi generation," was marketed for Chinese customers, it was mistakenly translated to, "Pepsi makes your ancestors come back from the dead." Pepsi Man has his own video game where he travels around gathering cans of Pepsi in order to satisfy the thirst of people around the city. I think that might even be worse than the Burger King game. A can of Pepsi contains 41 grams of sugar.
What's it like, Bart? Bart?
They're partially responsible for the death of Michael Jackson. In 1984, during the filming of a Pepsi commercial, faulty pyrotechnics caused Michael's hair to catch fire. He received second and third degree burns, and while in the hospital, he was given several painkillers and sedatives, to those of which he developed an addiction that contributed to his death 24 years later. Pepsi was the first foreign product marketed in the Soviet Union, but instead of importing their product, they allowed Russia to make their own Pepsi of lesser quality because Russian consumers were already used to bad products. They were the first cola company to implement the 2-liter bottle, which means they're on the forefront for finding new ways for Americans to consume as much high fructose corn syrup as possible. They claim to promote a healthy lifestyle while at the same time manufacturing 4 out of the 5 unhealthiest sodas in the world. Pepsi derives its name from dyspepsia, meaning indigestion. It was originally invented as a healthy soda to help... Wait. Why is it that every goddamn soda, or should I say can of sugar and carbonated water, was invented as a way to help with indigestion? How many digestion aids did they need in the 1800s? The only reason the Pepsi brand survived going bankrupt in the 1930s was because Coca-Cola declined to give the president of Loft Incorporated a discount on their syrup. Loft Incorporated decided it would be cheaper to just buy Pepsi and reformulate their syrup. Pepsi's most famous ad campaign is the Pepsi Challenge, where people took blind taste tests of both Coke and Pepsi, with Pepsi always coming out in the lead. In the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, he calls the sip test method inherently flawed because people will always prefer the sweeter beverage when only taking one sip, even if they wouldn't prefer an entire can.
All I want was a Pepsi, and she wouldn't give it to me. All I wanted was a Pepsi, just one Pepsi, and she wouldn't give it to me, just a Pepsi.
After almost 20 years of customer request, Pepsi finally stopped using the cancer-causing chemical aspartame in its diet sodas. And they replaced it with sucralose, a chemical accidentally discovered by scientists who were developing new insecticides. It has been reported that the company hired by Pepsi to develop artificial flavor enhancers uses cells from the taste receptors of aborted fetuses to make said flavor enhancers. In foreign countries, Pepsi is more experimental. Here are some of the flavoring examples. In Italy, there's Pepsi Mojito. Russia has Pepsi ice cream and a Pepsi cappuccino. And finally, Japan, who obviously has the most, including yogurt flavor, spicy ginger, monkey breadfruit flavor, strawberry milk flavor, and Azuki sweet bean. Let's add a sin for this poor guy in the promotional prank where Jeff Gordon goes to a car dealership and takes a ride with the salesman.
You are liable for any damages to the vehicle, so please stop the car. You can't go through that gate, Mike. Stop! Stop! I'm gonna get you.
And another one for this guy.
Stop!
I don't know if this should be a sin for Pepsi or just the 80s in general.
Put a Pepsi in the motion, but that choice is up to you. Hey, you're the Pepsi generation.
They are absolutely unable to produce a successful ad campaign that doesn't put down Coke.
Stunt double! Ooh.
And finally, the first Pepsi Cola logo was just a scribbled version of the name picked by the then CEO because nothing else was available.